please. Anything but strategy meetings, please. What's poppin', friends? I just finished the main storyline to Pokémon Legends Z-A for Nintendo Switch 2. If you want to see my streams of that, click on that card. I have 10 takeaways. You might agree with them, you might not. That's what's so wonderful about human individuality, am I right? Okay, potential for spoilers. Okay, go. First, I will say that the game is beautiful, and that's especially considering that my first Pokemon experience was Gen 1 Red and Blue. And I just did a video on that as well. I did go out and get a Switch 2. This was the first game that I purchased for the console. I thought it was very vibrant. I thought there was lots of color. I think they did an excellent job in terms of the presentation. It is a little different being restricted to Limio City as opposed to exploring an entire region, but nonetheless, the game is very pretty to the eye. The new battle mechanic was interesting. I've been playing Pokemon since I was less than 2 hands of fingers years old, and so this did take some getting used to. The turn-based style was just kind of how things work. You know, if you've driven a car your entire life and then you're given a rocket ship, you know, yeah, you're going to be experiencing a bit of a learning curve and thinking, hey, I missed that car. It was interesting that I didn't have to deal with things like PP, elixirs, ethers, instead having to work with the cooldown time. So you can use a move, you're not going to be able to use it again for a number of seconds. What that ended up causing for me was just straight button mashing, because I would be in battle, use an attack, use a different attack, but couldn't do much of anything except attempt to dodge and get out of the way, which I wasn't the best at. So then I would end up just using every move that the Pokemon knows, whether it was really going to have an impact on the battle or not. And thus I would be attacking with not very effective moves and things like that just because they were available at the time. So that came with not having PP or turn-based. And you know, for me personally, one of the things that I enjoy about competitive Pokemon play is the chess match that goes along with it. So I do appreciate a timer being in effect for taking a turn, but this just felt like it was more button mashing. And maybe you had a different experience than I did. I felt like I ended up needing heavy physical attackers versus special attackers to really get through this game. So my team ended up being like Embror, Sharpedo, Tyranitar, really heavy physical attack users. The battle zone was not perfect. It wasn't a complete disaster either. Again, it took some getting used to and some adjustments. The true competitive battles in the game with NPC trainers took place during the night cycle of the game in a confined area known as the battle zone, and it was a race against the clock. Nighttime felt a lot shorter than daytime did, and so you're here trying to get all these battle points, which ends up giving you the points you need for a challenger's ticket to battle in the ZA Royale. And at least after the true tutorial phase of the game ended, you did have the option to go to any bench, sit down, kill some time, and trigger the switch to the night cycle. And while this isn't necessarily related to the battle zone thing, the switch from day to night would end up interrupting other things such as big wild battles or trying to jump from one roof to the other, and you had to think in the back of your head, I better either not attempt this while we're switching time cycles or just take my chances and possibly be disappointed. But the other thing with the battle zone was that the sneak up feature didn't seem to work as well as they intended it to, and sometimes it didn't make sense. I know I would sneak up on a trainer and my Pokemon will be right about to attack. It's in the process of attacking, and then the trainer sees us, air quotes, I know I don't appear on camera so you can't see me make air quotes, and then it says they have the upper hand on us even though they just turned around and saw us and Embror was in the middle of heat crashing. But okay. I think it makes sense for this game, being that you're already in a different element of controlled zones and daytime versus nighttime, wild zone versus neutral zone, and if you really have an itching to battle, you can at any time go and trigger the night cycle to activate the battle zone. It felt more of like an arcade game than traditional Pokemon combat, especially given the new battle mechanics. Okay, I would say that this game does have a very vibrant cast of characters. If you're a regular person who doesn't feel the need to give every individual character their own unique voice like I do on my streams, then this is great. For me, it was tough to remember every single voice I gave to everybody, but hey, that's my problem, not yours. I thought it was a really well-balanced cast of characters. The ones that stand out to me, obviously, Taunie, Lita, Naveen, Taunie, we will get back to you later. They were great as your colleagues, if you were your peers. Colleagues, well, I guess you kind of run the hotel together, whatever. It's interesting to see how everyone is your opponent because of the Z-A Royale, which was a great way to detour from the traditional collect 8 gym badges, face the Elite Four element of a Pokemon game, and then them coming to your aid at the end when like the universe is about to explode, basically. It was cool to see that people had their own personalities, their own get-ups, and their own roster of Pokemon that went along with those things. It's funny because I was kind of bored by Naveen and Lita in the earlier part of the game, but after playing, I think we have to realize that Lita is the MVP of just the game. You know, she really ends up being. Should I say this for the later part? Anyway, Lita's the best. Yeah, we're gonna say this. We have to get back to this one, Jonathan. The game had great music, very great music, and even the one that I've been playing right now, the theme that triggers when facing a wild alpha Pokemon is a bop. And while in the early parts of the game, my instinct was to run because, you know, you can die, I couldn't help but want to stay because it's just a bop. Like, listen. Even when visiting Wild Zone 17, which I regret doing off stream, I went to Wild Zone 17, tried to catch my Skarmory, then went, searched it, people on Reddit were talking about it, and come to find out that Wild Zone 17 will live in Pokemon lore forever as just being like the deadliest possible place you could go. You wake up a whole pride of Pyroars and manage to be murdered like from the ground while you're up on the roof trying to catch Skarmory. But the music is great, and even the non-battle music, just the idle music that played when you were in town during the day or in the evening, I ended up, you know, doing along with it a lot in the streams. It was a good soundtrack. Male Meowstic, he just looks like such a little buddy and a friend, and especially since the whole getup of my channel is talking bouncing cat head, it just makes sense that I would like Male Meowstic. The girl Meowstic is also cool. And unfortunately, his Mega Evolution, their Mega Evolution, is behind a paywall. But look at him run. It's just so cute. I just love having him run around with me going on this adventure. It makes me wish I could have designated him as the partner Pokemon, like how they did in Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu, because I kind of got beat up a lot in some battles. And I can't Mega Evolve him unless I pay. This game did a great job with going off track of the normal Pokemon storyline elements of collecting badges, going to the Elite Four, and I'm pretty sure that this is similar to the storyline and the objectives in Legends Arceus. But these side missions, while some of them were endearing, some of them were cute, some of them, you know, they might get you some useful battle items, for the most part, it was just like hot buns filler, I suppose. And I won't make this an entry point on the list, but I did notice that my live viewership for this game was significantly lower from other Pokemon games I played and other games that I played live. And I think that's actually because it just, you know, these side missions and some of these other things just did not present very well. You know, I guess they put some of these in there. I think there was one where they're teaching you about the basics of like paralysis and poison and sleep in battle, something that every Pokemon fan knows about. Yes, it's very possible that for some youngsters out there, this is their very first Pokemon game, so I will recognize and acknowledge that. I just can't really think of any side missions that I completed where I thought, oh wow, I'm really glad I did that. Yeah, the pace of this game was slow. I mean, you are not just handheld, your hands held, your feet held, your legs held, knee held, waist held, butt held, mouth held, eyes, ears held throughout the beginning. And the number of cutscenes in this game, I think there was a few times during streaming I said this game should be renamed Pokémon Legends Cutscenes, basically, because it was just cutscene after cutscene after cutscene after cutscene, to where the game really became wash, rinse, and repeat early on. You know, have some cutscenes with Taunie, Levita, Naveen, Az, Floette, I guess counts too. You know, go out and do some Z-A Royales, do some side missions to earn a little bit more money, and maybe occasionally get into a battle, get a held item that you're not gonna really, I didn't use them, I just used the Mega Stones, and then go back for another long cutscene. Please, anything but strategy meetings, please. Oh yeah, and then take care of the Rogue Mega Evolved Pokemon, which the battles did kind of grow on me a little bit later. At first I was freaking out. I'm pretty sure I was freaking out the first time I was doing them. Thank you for the what felt like minimal help from Lita, Taunie, and Naveen. Don't know how they didn't die. They walked out without a scratch, and I'm just dying all over the place. Yeah, the pacing felt very slow. It does have a bombastic ending to it, but it did move very slow to the point that I wasn't even really encouraged to stream the game. It's actually a miracle that the other night I decided to stream and ended up finishing the main storyline in that stream. Taunie. Lita, you need to come get your friend Taunie. Taunie is an interesting character. She is built to be the rival, and I think if you chose your character to be a girl, you end up getting some dude named Urbane instead, which is very interesting. Is there another Pokemon game that's done? Yeah, yes there is. Yes there is. Joey Duh, Gen 3 did that. And from the get-go, Taunie stops you after getting off of this train. You don't know anybody here, so that you could star in an ad for the hotel she works for. Mind you, you have not been in town for more than 5 minutes. I don't even know if it was it planned that we were going to go to the hotel or whatever, but she insists you be in this ad. And the whole time with Taunie, Taunie is supposed to be your rival, even though it never really felt like it. Taunie just felt like she was giving choose me energy. I feel like low-key Taunie really wanted us bad, and I'm really mostly joking about that before someone takes me that serious. I think I'm just some chauvinistic butt white. But, you know, I mean, there wasn't any flirty text or anything, but I just kind of got this feeling. I'm like, yo, Taunie, like, why are you wanting all this attention? She's running off and doing shady dealings, like getting loans with the mafia, and then like trying to like quarrel this angry mob from coming at like the Quasartinko Inc. president. And I think the reason I tolerated Taunie so much was because I was doing Tanya's voice for her the whole time, and I miss Tanya. What's up, Miss Gooses? Anyway, and we're told how great of a person Taunie is. We don't really ever see that. She's just kind of like, yeah, I'm the leader of Team Mms, and apparently made it to rank A along with us at the end, even though I haven't seen her battling anybody. And then the whole thing with, okay, we're going to battle to decide who gets to go with Floette in the tower and save the world. Taunie agrees that, okay, if we battle, like, Floette can, like, you know, go with the stronger trainer. We beat her, and then she's like, oh, nope, I'm just gonna go in there with Floette anyway, taking back her word. And this is why, like, Lita was so much cooler, actually. She was the one leading the meetings. She just seemed a lot more chill. Taunie, what are you getting yourself into? You know, trying to, you're working for this 3,000-year-old man, and like I said, getting loans and all that other stuff. Just Taunie is a mess. And my last takeaway from playing Pokémon Legends Z is that I will not be getting the DLC. It's interesting that, please correct me in comments if I'm mistaken about anything, but the DLC was available at the same time as the base game's release, which that doesn't sound like that's how it works. Usually I thought you build up DLC later. I was really relieved to get the storyline done. You know, these games are not cheap. Were they ever cheap? No, but I mean, I remember when a brand new GameCube game was $50. This was $70. And so I wanted to play it. I wanted to feel the completion of it, at least from the storyline basis. But even with a strong ending in comparison to the beginning and the middle, it's not enough for me to want to say, hey, I'm going to chuck out $30 more for DLC that, to my understanding, doesn't even expand the map. I've seen some screenshots and clips. It just looks like a bunch of, if you want to do like real dex completion and things like that, hey, have at it. I'm not criticizing you for that. Just something I don't seem interested in doing, and frankly, it doesn't seem like something that the viewers of my channel, at least, are interested in me doing. I rather save that money and put it towards Pokopia, which I look forward to playing. You will see Pokopia content, Pokopia, whatever, mustard, you will see content on it. So yeah, those are my main takeaways from Pokemon Legends Z-A. How did you feel about the game? If you want to see other Pokemon content, click on those cards. You can subscribe to this channel. You can do a lot of things in life. That's the power of mindset. Yeah, you can do it too.